Hey guys, Smart Ninja 000 here. Today we're going to be working on the Wizard Pack. If you don't know what that is, it is basically a command mod pack, so it's just like lots of command blocks to create a mod-like experience, or basically, but it's just uses command blocks. We're doing a lot of work on it. It's pretty cool. We have wands for it, which you can see. We have gems for it. Like, they're not, so that's kind of cool. We're going to be adding custom mobs. You can see just some of the textures. We got like goblins, cave dwellers, a lot of cool ones. So that's awesome. Now the most recent addition are these orbs. Of course, I have the function for them, which is give orbs. I can't do anything. And you get all of them. These are I think they're kind of cool. I really like the texture for them. They have a nice texture. I think they fit pretty decently. If you notice, you can look at this one and look at this one. You can see that the texture, and it's not as detailed, but they're supposed to sort of feel good together. So the water one, for example, this is just going to be the crafting recipe. We don't have this set up yet because we don't, of course, have a custom MBTs with it, so we can't actually make damaged items. But you can see it looks pretty nice, I think. And the recipe, I think, suits it nicely. You'll notice there is glass here, and you might be thinking, why is there glass? But this is actually glass. It's slightly transparent, but it's also darkened. I actually used the white stained glass just to give it more of a more bold effect. So you can see you'll notice in the corners of all of them there's this little bit of dark, but it's transparent. It's like a little bit of green, or gray I mean. But yeah, I think that adds cool little effect to it. I think it really changes it up a bit, and I think that works really nicely. Now, the way the orbs are going to work is we have a few different options, and tell me what you think in the comments. We are either going to have orbs, which when you die, they disappear completely. So, actually, let me go into explaining what they do first. You're going to put them in your offhand, so they'll replace your shield if you're using that, or special bow, food, torch. But you probably will want to do this. They're more of a late game item, which you can tell because of the obsidian. Now, this one of the few recipes that actually uses obsidian, and I really like this because obsidian you only really mine like once or twice. Now, I'm worried that you're not going to craft them too much, because once you have all four, there will only be four. There won't be 16 like the wands. You're not really going to need to mine obsidian again, which is what I'll get to in a minute. But you'll put them on in your offhand, and you'll get a slight boost. So, for example, you might get a speed boost, you might get a attack speed boost, you might get a little health boost, a little extra damage, a little bit of extra armor, which means you don't have to wear full diamond to have full diamond armor. You might get like knockback resistance, basically any of the attribute modifiers. The one thing I want to make sure is they do not give me potion effects. That is what I want the wands to focus on. These I want to be more attribute modifiers, and the wands are never going to give you attribute modifiers. That's going to be strictly to these orbs. And of course, if you are a left-handed player, you can make it your left hand. If I can just, where is it? Minion left. So it will look still decent, and you can play Minecraft like normal. So that it still looks very nice. So we have a few options with them. We could either give them the Curse of Vanishing, so when you die by default they disappear. Now there are some slight problems with this. You can give it the Curse of Vanishing enchantment. However, if I just change the damage value on this, you'll notice it's harder to tell what the color is. And if we do add more gems and something like light blue and this sort of like gray, then it starts to get confusing which one you're actually holding. Plus also it looks enchanted, and I'm not so sure I like that as much. I think it's a little bit too much. So that is option one. Option 2, of course, is just detecting when the player dies and killing the items, which is what we might do if we make it so you lose them on death. I do want these to always be active no matter what, as long as you have it in your offhand. I want these effects to be given to you. I don't want it so you need some sort of gem or something for them to be active. And I think this is a really nice method because they allow you to have wands that you can just nicely put in your offhand and use, just because having these is just a nice little buffer. The wands are nice, but the problem is they break and you'll have to be constantly crafting them. I thought we need something a little bit more durable, and the orbs are the solution to that. Now, I haven't actually chosen the effects. If you want to leave a suggestion in the comment, that would be super great, because you can just see we're working on it and it's coming along nicely. Let's actually go more into detail about the texture. Of course, the centerpiece is your orb, or your gem. So this is the water. That middle piece is the only piece that actually changes in the model. It's then surrounded by an egg obsidian shape. I did take a little bit of the idea from the dragon egg. I thought that might be cool to make something like the dragon egg, but doesn't actually require it. It does fit nicely, I think. Then of course we have these little gold speckles in the bottom. They are almost the same color, but there is a slight difference. I actually took that off the gold nugget texture just because I wanted to add a little bit more to it than just this very square crafting recipe. And I thought gold nuggets would be nice, as there was not that many recipes that use them, so I think that's pretty cool. Now, the only other idea I had was to do something more like this, which is just sort of, you'd put this on your offhand, but this is actually a fireworks star. But I think if you look at the two and you compare them, I think the orb, not the fireworks star, if it's a little bit nicer into your survival inventory, it's more suitable. I think it's more refined. This looks a little bit too chaotic, if that makes sense. Another good example of something I think is just a little bit too much would probably be these blocks. You would not see these type of blocks in your survival inventory that often. So I think this works. However, these blocks are really nice. I like this creeper one a lot. Probably because it's cyan. But we'll hopefully try and do something that sort of fits with this. The diamond, this blue is also nice for the diamond, and when you actually do it, it makes sort of a cool spiral. And you can see it's not 100%. It's not like solid transparency. It's got sort of a little bit of a extra texture to it, which I think is nice. Now we're moving off that. You'll notice actually we've actually finished wands for 0.3, which is really great. Then we'll finish orbs and probably new mobs for 0.3, which is the current version. 0.2 and 0.1 are actually unreleased. I'm planning on doing sort of a history video about them. But we're not going to get into that right now. We're actually going to talk about this. You can see there's lots of diamond hose mixed in, and this is actually for future plans. There's also a few of these unmodeled, and the reason for that is just because they're placeholders. This just number 5, so if I just so I know that the gems end right at 5, then we have up to 15 slots for the gems, which I think is really nice in case we ever need to make, if we want more gems, we can maybe add a yellow one, maybe a dark green one, maybe purple, orange. We have more options, although I don't think we'll be focusing on that anytime soon, because it does mean, for example, if we want to add another wand, the next wand we're going to need to actually create 9 more wands, and that's just adding 1 gem, so that might be a little while, and of course we will need to make an orb for that. We also have 15 potential orb slots, 4 of them are being used, and we have I believe 35 mob. Now that might seem like a lot, but really that is 17 and a half if we say every single one is going to have an animated version. Obviously that is not true. You can see the Fire Reaper. Does not. That is just, now it does have an animated texture, but it is not. And actually, the more I look at the Fire Reaper, I think it might need a remodel. I'm not sure how nicely. We'll have to see what that looks like naturally. And we, of course, have our Yeti, who will need an animated. I've just done the Goblin and the Cave Dweller. The Cave Dweller is actually, it's going to be probably the only one that does not move its arms, and the reason for that is because if it moved its arms, I'm going to try and use the new arrows. If you did not see that, be sure I did a video on them a while ago for raycasting. But we can try and use that to make his torch actually give off fire, and I did not want his arms to be moving, so I can actually try and get a flame coming out of his torch, which I think would be pretty sick. And of course, we have our Tree Mimic, which I believe it is going to be a Mimic variant. So the Tree Mimic is a husk, or the Mimic, which is unmodeled at the moment, will be the zombie. Just think this. The Mimic is the zombie, the Tree Mimic is the Husk variant, so it's just a different biome-specific variant. So Mimics can spawn in forest biomes, but you are more likely to see a Tree Mimic. We still have to work on the mobs. You can see there's quite a bit of work to be done with them, but I think it'll be pretty cool. We have this nice orb, and you can tell I actually redid the damage values, so all these are now diamond hose. So now I have not actually been asked this yet, but I'm assuming it will be eventually asked. There's an advancement in husbandry, husbandry, where it says completely use up a diamond hoe, and you can see obviously we are going right through. Now we're not actually going to reach another. There we go. I was going to say for a little while, but we have already reached it. Now we do have quite a bit of time, actually, but yes, you can go around. And I'm going to keep this for a few reasons. One is so you can actually get this achievement. I may change this into an iron hoe, because there are ways to override enchantments, but I think I might keep this in, just because it does show the ability that you can actually, if you really want to, you can get the mobs. What I mean by that is, when I say you can get the mobs, I mean you can get their item and you can use them sort of as trophies. Of course, this does each cost diamond hoe. You can get them as trophies. Now there are a few things to note. You might be wearing, oh well, they'll cheat in gems. No, the gems all are going to have special abilities to say, hey, this is a gem, it's not a diamond, and it's just not normal. Oh, and you can obviously see that from the wands. Obviously, if I just take a carrot on a stick and use the double ladle, it will not work. It will be modeled like a wand, but it will not actually have any ability. And of course, some gems are going to be rarer than others, so you don't have to worry about that. And of course, these orbs, actually, once you craft them, there's going to be no enchantments testing for it. It's all going to be done through the crafting recipe, so you don't have to worry about people cheating that in case you are worried. So that's great. So that's going to be pretty much it for the that sort of stuff. Now we are going to get into talking a little bit more about the future coming up. Now first off, and obviously, the new textures will work with the wizard pack. You can see they are working right now. Even the wands have the new variants. Everything seems to be working okay, so you shouldn't have to worry about that if you are planning on using, which actually gets me into the next bit. Now there are some things which obviously are not going to be redone. Your ingots will, but for the crafting recipes, but your gems should stay the same. And all I did was put the texture pack on top of each other, and it seems to be working pretty fine. We have everything working nicely. I don't actually, and of course I can't actually get, I don't think you can tell this, but this is actually the new no, this isn't the new cobblestone. The walking variants are different textures from the non-walking variants, which is a slight problem. You can see it's ever so slightly different on its head. Non-walking this is the old, this is the new. You can see the difference. So it does actually show up as a difference, which is something to be aware of. Although for these texture packs I am planning on making bug fixes, so there'll be a couple different texture packs you can actually use. And of course, just to show we are with Faithful, one of the more popular texture packs, and you can see it does appear to be working correctly. Everything seems to be working fine. Of course, these are not modeled with the Faithful, but we are still seeing them as they should be. Our hose all appear to be correct, but here's where it gets really obvious, the difference in between the two. You can see one is far more detailed than the other, which is just something to be aware of. If you are planning on using a texture pack, there will be differences with it and inconsistencies with the mobs mostly, just because of the way mob or animated textures work. Stuff like the Fire Reaper is where it gets really funny, because just wait for its face to come around. You can see it goes to the default Minecraft texture, although it does still nicely work, and it does appear to be pretty much okay with most textures. Now this is actually a bad example because it looks redone, so that's not going to show up. And of course the goblin's not going to have Faithful, I believe, just because of the fact that it's also changed. So but it does appear to be working perfectly. You can see it's very easy to test resource packs for this. Again, I will be making a few custom, maybe, to try and make it so you can use these. There are exceptions, of course. Faithful I will not be redoing, and the reason for that is because it will be way too much work. Faithful, first off, I have to go through all the Faithful files, but the default I will be doing. The new default, which is 1.14, I believe, I will be doing as well, and maybe a few more, but probably they'd be custom, not anyone else's. I don't want to use anyone else's. But oh, by the way, there should be a link to the Faithful in the description if you want to try it out. It's a really nice resource pack, and if it's not, just leave a comment and I'll get you the link. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. You can see we have a nice updated video. Of course, we have everything that appears to be working great. We do have to wait for, we have a few little bug fixes, minor here and there's, but it shouldn't be too difficult. I think it could work out really nicely. We're just going to have to see how this comes around. And in case you are wondering, if you do try to rename one of these, yeah, it doesn't exactly work the best, because you can't. Yep. So that's great. But it is pretty nice, everything. If you have any questions, anything you want me to try and test, see what's wrong with, be sure to leave that in the comment section below. And if you have any suggestions, I'd be very glad to hear them. Any tips, any ideas, I'd appreciate those. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, because and like the video. If we can get 5 likes, I'll try to release this early. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys, and subscribe if you're new, and hope to see you in another video. Bye.